welcome back again to Idaho Hook and Hunt. We caught a few kokanee on Anderson Ranch Reservoir yesterday, and today I'm going to go through my process as well as my recipe for canning kokanee. So some of you, if you know how to do it already, you may not be interested in the process. You may like my recipe. For those of you who've never done it, you may want to watch all the way through and see the whole process. So something that's important with canning to begin with is to prep your jars. So I've got jars already full of hot water. That preps the jar so that when it goes into the hot water in the pot, in the pressure cooker, the jar isn't cold, so it's not stressing that glass and potentially breaking those jars. So we begin with the hot water. I'm just going to pour it into the bottom of the pot because it's going to go in there anyway. And then to what I do, there's several ways that I do my kokanee. Now, if they're bigger kokanee that I fillet, I will usually smoke that kokanee on my smoker for about 10 minutes or so, just until the meat starts to sweat, just to get that smoke rolled over the kokanee. However, with smaller kokanee like what we have at Anderson Ranch this year, I don't do that. I don't fillet these fish. They are still whole, so all I do is I take off the heads and the tails and gut them. I don't even remove any of the bones, because when you can kokanee, the pressure cooking process will actually dissolve the bones. So I don't worry about taking out bones or removing the skin or even the fins on them, because all of that's going to dissolve in the jar when you pressure cook it. So there's a number of ingredients that I'm going to put into the jar here. Something to keep in mind is when you pressure cook, all the flavors that you put in the jar are going to go through all of that meat. So you don't have to worry about seasoning the fish before it goes in. You just season the jar. So something I always begin with is I will begin with a decent sized slab of butter. Just a pat of butter down there. That helps to add some flavor to the meat. And a half a jalapeno. Now this is a pint jar. I do pints. I also do half pints. In a pint jar, I do half of a jalapeno. Now I don't worry about taking the seeds out or anything else. I just cut the tops off, put half the jalapeno in there. And it works just fine that way. And then we're going to get out some brown sugar. And I like to put a pretty decent scoop of brown sugar in the bottom of the jar. So we're just going to get a decent sized scoop, quite a bit here. And there we go. Put that into the bottom of the jar as well. And then I like to season with the Kinder's brown sugar seasoning. Just sprinkle some of that in there. And a half tablespoon of salt. Gonna go in there as well. And then I forgot in the fridge, when I'm not pre-smoking the kokanee, I will use liquid smoke to add that smoky flavor as well. And just a few squirts in there, get some of that in the bottom of the jar to get that smoky flavor throughout the fish. And then from there, it's just a matter of stuffing that jar with that kokanee. And you want to stuff it in pretty much as much as you can get in there. You can press it down in there good. Get that jar good and full. Now, something to keep in mind when I'm using pre-cooked kokanee, it can be pretty messy getting it into the jar. And so something you always want to do is take a paper towel and make sure you clean off the top edge of that jar. Now with this, uncooked kokanee is probably not an issue, but you want to make sure you clean it off so that when the lid goes on, it makes good contact with the top of that jar. If it doesn't make good contact, you're going to have trouble getting a good seal. And then from there, it's ready to go into the pot. So I'm going to prepare another jar or two here, and then I'll get it onto the heat. Once you get the jars into the pot, you want to fill that pot with water just about up until the point where it's touching the bottom almost to the bottom of the lid. You don't want it to go over the lid, but just up to the bottom of the lid. So I'm going to get the rest of this prepped, get it in the jar, and then I'll get back with you once it's on the heat. All right, so the kokanee is in the pot. It is in the pressure cooker. It is on the heat. At this point, what we're looking for with kokanee, as far as pressure cooking kokanee, you want to get the pressure up to about between 12 and 15 pounds. That's where my pressure cooker is set to. So when it gets up to that temperature, the weight here will start to oscillate and you'll hear it making noise as well. A couple things that I wanted to mention just about why I can kokanee. Anytime I catch kokanee, I love to eat kokanee fresh. However, I will can kokanee that I can't get too fresh. And the reason why I do that is because if you freeze kokanee, something you will notice is, you know, if you freeze kokanee and let's say you package it in a vacuum bag or something like that, a day or two later, you can take that kokanee out of the freezer once it's been frozen, and you will see the oils leaching out of it into that vacuum bag. Whereas if you can kokanee, you don't lose any of those oils by freezing it, and then all those oils remain in the jar with that canned kokanee. So you keep all of that goodness that is one of the reasons why we love kokanee. And there's a number of different places that canned kokanee can be used. Some of those places include any place where you would use canned tuna. You can mix it with cream cheese or mayonnaise, make it into a spread, do sandwiches. It's also great on crackers, with or without the mayonnaise or cream cheese, with maybe a cube of cheddar cheese. It's delicious on like a Ritz cracker like that. And then another thing that I love to do with my canned kokanee is I do a smoked kokanee chowder, which once I make a batch of that, I will show you how I make that as well. And I use my jars of canned kokanee to prepare that chowder. So we're gonna let this get up to temperature and then I'll get back with you. Okay, so this is what we want. We are actually a little on the high side with the pressure right now, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little. We're about 15 pounds of pressure. We want anywhere from 12 to 15. But when the pressure is correct, this is what you're gonna see. The weight on the top will spin and you'll hear that noise. We're gonna go for 140 minutes. So I need to make a correction to what I said right there. I said 140 minutes. It's actually an hour and 40 minutes, 110 minutes. So I want to make that clear since I misspoke on the video. All right, time is up. I've already turned off the heat. We're gonna pop the top here just to release the pressure. So we're gonna let that pressure release here for a moment, and then we're gonna get her opened up. All right, so pressure is almost out. Once this button drops, then there's absolutely no pressure left in there. Should pop in just a moment here. I could probably open it right now, but I'll give it just another moment here. There it goes. So one thing with opening this lid, don't open it towards you because there's a lot of steam in there to burn you. So break that seal, but then open it that direction so the steam goes away from you. And we're good to go. Use hot pad holders to get these out of here. Now, something that I didn't necessarily talk about when I put these in is at the beginning when I put the lids on these, I didn't tighten them at all. You leave them very, very loose. You just screw them down to where the lid is actually touching the top of the jar, but you don't tighten them at all. So these go in very, very loose. And when I bring them out right now, I'm gonna put them down and make sure that seal pops down right there. That seals them completely if I pop that seal down. Same thing with this one. That seal's popped down. There it is. Once that seal's popped down, then I will take the hot pads and get a hold of that lid at the bottom of the jar and just give it a snug. Once that's snugged down, these are good to go. There we go. Nice and snug. Seals are popped. No bounciness, no nothing in them. They are ready to go at this point. At this point, it's just a matter of letting them cool down. Once they cool down, I will always take them to the sink with some dish soap and scrubber and scrub them off, because they do, when they're boiling in that pot, they do tend to, some juices will squeeze out of them. And so I always make sure after they cool down that I get them all washed off. Then use a Sharpie and label the date on them, and they are good to go. And they will keep for several years this way. And like I said earlier, you don't lose any of the oils. You keep all the nutrients in there, and even though they don't look all that appetizing in the jar, I promise you they are delicious. Just right here, smelling that steam coming out of that pot, you can smell that fresh kokanee, that little bit of jalapeno spice that's in there. These are absolutely delicious. I look forward to showing you some recipes of how I actually prepare this in some subsequent videos. So thank you again for watching, and we will see you on the next one.